After the evening I've had, let's hope this all works. The technical evening I've had. If anyone's here, please say hello. So I can explain all the effort I've gone to get us going today. Hopefully people will join. Just missed the doorbell. People are coming in. Good evening, madam. Evening, Julie. And good evening, Jeff. And good evening, Rodeer. Good to see you people here. Hi, Yvonne. Oh, this is good. People coming in, saying hello. Love it. I'm going to lead with the slight technical nightmare I had this evening. This nearly didn't happen, right? This show. It nearly didn't happen. I was going to just about to... I hope it's not my end. I hope the buffering is somewhere else. And it could be weather related. But just because I do this as audio as well, I'm just going to announce that it is episode 178 of the Phil Swallow podcast. And there will be elements in the audio show that maybe don't work too well because they're on chat or anything, but still the general gist is there for audio listeners. So, it's buffering for you too as well. Guys, I'm really sorry about this. I hope it is bearable. I normally have a high-speed internet connection from Virgin Media Business. The router is literally, I'm touching the router now. It's that close to me. And I have it wired into the back of the computer box, which is also next to me, touching that now. You can't see this, but anyway. Cutting in and out. Yeah, it could be my end. However, I think there is a problem with the router. And yeah, strong winds could be hi Merlin's cat. Strong winds could be a factor. So just this situation that I'm in, I'm using the Wi-Fi from that router, and I did speed test of 480 megabits per second, which is pretty good, and it's about 80 upload. And I get maybe a little bit more than that when it's wired, but wired should give you more stability. So we had, I don't know if you guys had it, don't know where you are, you might be not close by, but in Croydon at about 2ish this afternoon, it went extremely dark. We had the most massive thunderclap and lightning flashes. We had a hailstorm, and the hail kind of sat on the ground for ages. After that, I went up and I don't know what to do here, guys. Because if it's, well, you tell me if you want to. Oh, no problem in Devon. That does suggest it could be local. Because as I say, I've got the cleanest signal I can get. I've done multiple tests since I was working on Wi-Fi only. And as I say, the Wi-Fi is literally at the outstretched part of my arm, touching my hands. My fingers are on the router. I couldn't really get too much closer. So there's nothing between the router and the box to cause a problem. I think we have to put it down to weather. Massive sudden hailstorm in Forestdale. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we had that earlier, and maybe it's still around there. So, every 20 seconds it's doing it. Croydonian here, and yes, experienced all of that weather too. Yeah, I'll tell you what, guys, I will carry on with the hope that it is bearable. Please stick with me because it's great to see so many of you joining and listening in to what I have to say on these little shows that I couldn't expect it to be done this afternoon. So maybe if this doesn't work too well, then I'll perhaps go early with the February one and do a bit of recapping. But yeah, so Christmas done. I did loads of family history stuff over Christmas because I met up with my half. Thank you for watching the others, and yes, please come back another time. I will just do a quick apologies for connection issues. So yes, so family history stuff, and then there was Christmas stuff going, done and dusted now. Monuments. So I did a little video which some of you may have seen. It was a kind of then and now on the monument in London. My London videos never really do that well. Don't know why. I still put the same kind of effort into them. Many others cover it. Can't hear me. Oh no. I'm actually wondering whether we should knock this on the head, and perhaps because normally we've never had this issue. I think I think I might do, because I'm getting people having to dial off, and if it's not a good experience, it doesn't help me really. The viewing numbers have gone down a bit. Yeah, okay. I tell you what, as people are going, sorry guys, I'm going to it's better now. I think I'll stop it, because there's a number of different things that I want to cover, and if it's hard to follow, then that's going to be a problem. It's just not a good experience. It's like if you're watching a TV show and it does the same, often through whatever reason. So I'm going to call this off, I think, and then I'm going to get on the phone to get an engineer out and have a look at this problem. Buffering has completely gone. I almost want to put a vote in. Shall I stay or shall I go? So buffering's gone. Now, I don't know, it's very difficult to do a show of hands, but can you maybe just give me a chat? There's a number of you on, but would you rather just stop it now and then maybe come back in a couple of days? I can only really do Wednesday this week. I'm giving a talk on Thursday. Sue's using the broadband tomorrow for a Zoom. Stay. Birdie's cat says stay. Stay there. Good. Okay. I was just getting into the usual flow as well. So I'll stay. I'll stay. There we go. Have a slurp of drink. Anyway, back to the monument. This was probably the most unplanned of the unplanned videos that I've ever done. Sanderstead's hearing me. Brilliant. Good old Sanderstead. I watch a lot of these archive videos on YouTube. So BBC Archive, they have some wonderful different things. Numbers have gone right down. Sorry. BBC Archive. We've got London archives are on there. I think there's basically various archives, and typically, as soon as I typed it, cleared it. Wonderful. Anyway, one of the, you know how YouTube works, it just offers you things that you might want to watch, and one of them was The Changing Face of Camberwell. I did have some distant family in Camberwell, but didn't, So it was filmed in 1963, proper film. This just wasn't a vlog of the day or anything, proper film. And what I often do when I'm watching these things is pause it, and if they reference a street, I just kind of look and see if it's there now, and often there were many cases where they were. And they went to the monument, and which is a bit weird, because they said, 3 miles north, whatever, of here is the monument in London, and they explain a bit about the monument. They climb the monument and they take photos or videos from the top. And even at that point, I had no intention of doing anything with that information, except I paused the TV and I took a photo with my phone of the paused picture, which represented views from, I think, 3 of the 4 sides of the top of the monument. Now, I worked in central London for 20 odd years and walked past the monument for a large chunk of that and never climbed it. All I really knew about it was obviously why it was there. My dad had an apprenticeship in Fish Street Hill, not far from there. And I thought, one day I'm going to climb that. So on the Wednesday, day before I did the video, excuse me. Cool. I'm glad you can hear me. Brilliant. Monument last April was closed. Oh no. Well, so I had a lunch meeting with a guy that I used to work with, Dave. And I went up there and I was a bit early. I'd travelled up with Sue, and I got chatting to the ladies outside the monument where they kind of take your money, and I was saying, well, is it busy, and how much is it, and is there a discount if you're over 60, and all those very important questions. And it was only £4.50, and I just thought, do you know what, I've got an hour to kill, I'm doing it. So I climbed the 300 and whatever steps to the top. Oh, cool, brilliant. So I climbed the steps to the top, and it was, the steps were quite shallow compared with sometimes when you're climbing steep steps. And I think if the steps are steeper, it makes you more out of breath. I know you're climbing more and fewer. I won't go into the science of it. Anyway, I climbed to the top. Got to the top, wonderful views, and I was able to do a then and now of the angles that I could find and do my little kind of resizing and dissolving and all that sort of stuff in the video and produce video, and it was quite nice, and there's some nice comments. So that was the monument, and yeah, still I don't know why London videos don't engage, but maybe it's a time thing, and one day they will. So yeah, that was a kind of random one that I put in, and all the time I'm doing this Windy Ridge video, the story of that house through time, was in my plans and in my prep, and I eventually went out there and filmed it, and it was a project that there was really only one brief, and that was to tell the story of Windy Ridge, the house that was there for 40 odd years. And a lady come along to ask me about it, and she helped me, she supported me to do that. And I was delighted to do the project. It helped me learn about the area. It kind of connected my connection with the area with her family connections. And the research was great. Found out a lot about a lot of things, which is what good, valuable research is all about. But I didn't want to just stand outside the plot and say there was a house here and it existed from that time and that was it. I wanted to frame it as best I could in the context of the area, which is why we covered things like, I say we because this was part of the research, but you know, the school, the pumping station, the golf club, and even Planet Spice, the building down the road, because Planet Spice, the building of Planet Spice, the Indian restaurant, existed at the time of Windy Ridge, and it still exists today. So it was a connection between then and now, which made it all worthwhile. And the video's done really well. Published last Thursday, and if it will allow me to fire it up, let's have a quick look. It's about 900 odd views, 993, 994, something like that, which is brilliant. Delighted with that. So yeah, Windy Ridge. It did make me think about what follow-ups I might do in time, over time, about the Forestdale story. There were some wonderful houses all around there that had these piggeries and chicken farms and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, there is material in the Croydon archives that I can't use. It's all copyrighted. But to be honest, there wouldn't be too much to gain by it, because you can imagine how there was a mix of property styles and the land was divided up. And so I did use the maps that I was able to use, the Google stuff, to try and help tell the story. So I hope if you've seen that, you got some enjoyment from it. It was good fun. It was a very, very good fun project for me. And I don't know why I was going to share with you the fact that I bought a new screen on here. Maybe I should have put that somewhere else. But I bought a new screen for my talks. Brilliant service from Projector Point. Should you ever? They didn't ask me to name it, but I got very good service. Here we go. Phil got pictures of me on Tower Bridge Beach. Type in Google and look at the pictures. One of the pictures of me on the beach with an ankle round the head. Okay. Small holding where you are now. Cool. So yeah. And, you know, that bit of that history is obviously kind of just gone. I mean, the nice landscaping is still there. And I'll talk in a bit about one of the plans that I've got that kind of goes off the back of that. So in terms of looking ahead, I've got a talk this Thursday that was postponed last week because that's when the first of the storm something came in. And it wasn't really worth bringing out. It's quite a small group. And the lady who organised it said, could I do the following week? And I did. I can. So I'll be doing that talk next week. That's in Hamsey Green. And I'm also doing some other talk prep. So I think we've still got to firm up the date, East Surrey Museum. And that one, if you want to come along and say hi, that will... Oh, hanky rather than ankle. Right, okay. Hanky round the head rather than ankle round your head. I was going to be impressed at your agility then, whenever that was taken. Yes, East Surrey Museum. So basically they have, I think once a month they have a talk, and it's the venue and timing and everything is down to how much interest is shown in the talk. So the talk subject is me doing this, really. Not this video, but me doing what I do and what's behind it, what kind of stuff that I did before, how I got into this, what's my background, connection with various historical things. So if you'd like to hear even more from me and behind the scenes, I will let you know when that's up. I would love to meet some of you guys in person. I know some of you are far and wide. And what I'm hoping is that we have enough interest that we can get the Soper Hall venue much bigger, and then we can have a chat over a cup of tea and a biscuit or whatever they might provide. Hopefully they provide that. So bear that in mind, that that will happen. Now, we did talk about February originally. I think that might be tight, so it's likely to be March, sometime in March. But this week I'll be firming up the date, and then the kind of promotional stuff will go out from there. So that's that. Got another talk, 2 probably in April. One's Born Society, one's closed. So I've got a meeting this week to discuss some of the content of the Born Society that's connected to the story of Overhill House, but it's a bit more about the West Hall Road history and area, some of the big properties up there. Yeah, the next item on my kind of rough agenda is snippets, a term that I decided to use. So very often I will find something that I think could be interesting historically for people to know about. Typically they might be things that you might pass quite often through public transport or just whizzing along in your car, and they're not quite worthy enough maybe, or the location doesn't lend itself to doing a walk and talk as such. And because I like to pack in a lot to the videos, research and all that sort of stuff, I thought if I do the concept of snippets, where I might tell a 3 to 4 minute story of a particular piece of history, that it's there today, so you can see it, look at it, touch it, photograph it, but why is it there, and what was its purpose back in the day? I mean, hopefully that would be of interest. Let me know either way in the comments. It's just I've found a couple of these, and I'm thinking that it became an itch that I wanted to scratch as I scratch my chin. So yeah, so that's the kind of snippets idea. So they're not quite the shorts, you know, you have the, not shorts that you wear, the YouTube shorts, which are kind of the vertical videos. I do a few of those occasionally, but this is still a video that I produce using all my normal kind of production stuff. It's just shorter and it's just focused on the one thing. So if you're interested in snippets, and it's a way of just me keeping the kind of churn going. So I visualize that I could go out in the morning, do the filming for this. I would have done the research before, so, and I can probably assemble it in an afternoon and get it out the following day, that kind of thing. So I just feel that I sometimes get in my own way of doing the research, and even though, like, I don't really know how Windy Ridge would work, but obviously I'm delighted that we've nearly got 1,000 views since Thursday night when it went live. Brilliant. So hopefully there's some, it will keep people kind of connected to the channel, which is good. Great. So we can get some thumbs up to snippets, and yeah, and if you get any ideas for snippets, let me know. But they're all around us, and I think what we find is that on things like the Born Society Facebook group, I don't know if you guys look at that, it's really great. About 5 p.m. every day, Gwyneth uploads a photo and does a little bit of commentary, and sometimes there's a bit of banter on the back of that, normally if I'm involved. But anyway, it's great little way of connecting with people that tend to view local history through something like Facebook. So Born Society Facebook, better still, bonus points, become a member. Really great society. So what else happened? Oh, I'm a bit more involved in the Croydon Natural History and Scientific Society now. So and that's something that, I mean, they have been going since 1870, something like that. So history and science stuff relating to the area, but maybe wider. And they basically produce all the books on Croydon and the John Gent collections and various other things. Huge archives. Work very closely with the Croydon archives. So yeah, I'm getting closer to the stuff that they do and seeing if I can add some input to some of the things that are ongoing. So that's good fun. The other thing that I must do is a bit more formal planning for 2025. One of the early-ish ones that I plan to do is Shirley. Possibly going to do that into 2 trips. So one where I go from Addington Hills down to probably as far as Stroud Green Pumping Station. Those that know me well know that I like to try and capture a pumping station or a reservoir or something like that in the walks. And I thought that'd be a nice way of going all the way down. There'll be lots of sites that I'm sure you know. Julie, who's on the chat, mentioned to me the other day about this because it's a wonderful building just as you go down Shirley Oaks Village, the Stroud Green Pumping Station there. They basically got rid of the old steam engines but kept the building. It's brilliant. Although you can't get to it, you have to kind of see it from the gates, but it's still very nice. So Shirley will be a kind of straight down, and then I'm going to do another one where you go along Shirley Road. I won't go as far as West Wickham, but where you kind of go from the roundabout past the Crown. Is it the Crown Pub? What was the garden centre and it isn't now. There'll be lots of things that were and aren't now. So we're walking all the way along. I don't know, possibly to somewhere like Bethlem Hospital Road, something like that. I may go down to the little lodge type house, KFC type place as you enter West Wickham, because one of the things that I think I mentioned it a while ago, but it's sort of evolving a bit more now, is that when I revisit some areas, I kind of think, where did I get to before? What was the sort of boundary? And if I can start a walk from there, then I'm gradually kind of covering things, I suppose, my way without that sounding too twee and not breaking into a song. Because I did the Addington Hills when there was after the fire, about a month or so after the fire, a couple of summers ago, 3 summers ago. And so if I start my Shirley walk at the top of the hills and down, then there's obviously a lot to cover there. So Shirley. Tower Bridge Museum, very interesting. Now, it's funny, I don't know if you've heard of this vlogger who I started watching on YouTube during the lockdown. He's called Adam the Woo, and he used to do the Daily Woo, but I think he's got 2 channels. They're both big channels. But anyway, he's over in London at the moment, so it's interesting seeing London through the eyes of a vlogger that normally does a lot of American stuff, old film lots, locations of where certain big films were made. He does a lot of Disney stuff. I don't watch everything on his channel, but it just flashed up that he was in London. So he did the London Eye, where it actually got stuck. He did the Jack the Ripper tour, or one of the Jack the Ripper tours. He did a Harry Potter tour. He's a massive Beatles fan, so he did, Abbey Road and all the other Beatles sites. He'd researched it really well. And on yesterday's trip that he uploaded this morning, which I'm nearly all the way through, he went to Tower of London and he went across Tower Bridge. He flits about a bit. I think he also did some St Paul stuff as well. He bought one of these big London passes. But it's just nice to hear the views of London through someone who's just kind of never been here, but quite experienced in life, but just never been over. I don't think he ventured to these parts, but he mentioned about decent fish and chips somewhere, but McDermott's is around the corner. Could have been an option. So planning for 2025 and keeping to it, really. I've still got to do Old Caulston, and I'm kind of edging closer to that. I've still got my water history to do. I'm giving a talk about that soon. I've got West Wickham, and Addiscombe. See, they're all they're all sort of connected, but I've just got to get out there and do them. And that's the challenge, particularly as I'm doing lots of other stuff in between. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's much better than working. I did that for a while and gave it up. So, yes, lots to see, lots to do. No decent. Yeah, so in terms of what, I suppose, what or where I go to next, I haven't really given much thought about this. There was a very good conversation that I had when I met up with Dave in London, and he said something that he picks up through some groups that he's on, that we shouldn't assume YouTube is there forever. And I thought, initially you think, well, obviously it will be, and you think, maybe it won't be. So I think there's also some thoughts about where else could the content go if YouTube did decide to go the wrong way or another way or just stop. I can't believe they would. Certainly not yet a while, but who knows. But also there was a good point about sort of donating some of this stuff. We do have to think about what might happen ultimately to all of us. But donating some of this content, so a kind of clean copy to the Croydon Archives, for example, use it how you will. I'd be more than happy for anything that I produce to be shared and used in research. I've done the work since, so that you don't have to. John Rogers, once in a while. Yes. So someone mentioned to me, I didn't put this on my notes, so I'm going to explain it to you shortly. John Rogers went to Spring Park, I believe, over off between Sparrows Den and Addington Village. I did a walk there, a non-filmed walk, about a year or two ago, with the aim of doing a loop and finding the spring in Spring Park, and I did. And I took a couple of pictures and a bit of video of it, but I didn't actually put it together. So maybe that is something that that we can do. And if John Rogers ventures down here and I'm not sure if he found it, but anyway, I'll perhaps do that. So Spring Park is another one that's on the list. Yes, so one of the other things that happened right at the beginning of January, saw something on Facebook about the Swiss Lodge in Shirley Church Road. Now, the Swiss Lodge is a lodge house that is at the north end of the original Addington estate. There are lodge houses still that you can see. One that we probably go past quite a lot are the two Addington Palace Golf Club as you go in there off Gravel Hill, and the lodge house at the bottom of Gravel Hill as you turn left towards West Wickham. There's a lovely one there where the car park is. So the Swiss Lodge, it's at risk of demolition. Someone bought the property and the land around it some time ago, and they wanted to build 8 flats there, and it got rejected. Neighbours and various other people objected to the planning consent. And there's been some toing and froing, and what they wanted to do was to go back and have a pure demolition only of Swiss Lodge, and then come back again with a revised proposal for the flats and the car parking that goes along with it. And I knew of it from when I'd done the Addington Heritage Walk, and I decided to get involved. So I've requested for it to be listed for English Heritage, and I've not heard anything yet. I'm hoping no news is good news, but I engaged with one of the neighbours, and we got on really well. I had a lovely couple of visits there, and just to get a kind of literally the lie of the land, and find out what the general views were. So and the reason why it's difficult to be confident in a situation like this, but I do care passionately about keeping these buildings. Once they're gone, that is it. But this particular lodge, it was built by, and I've off the top of my head, I can't remember which archbishop it was, but he did quite extensive when he was based at Addington Palace, or staying at Addington Palace. He did quite a few developments to the palace and the grounds. And this particular archbishop, he was the guy that went to Queen Victoria in 1837 to tell her she was going to be queen. So he has got a place in history, and it was in his tenure that the Swiss Lodge in the north of Addington Palace, or Addington Park, was built. So one of the things they ask you, well, early on when you apply for a listing is it under risk? And yes, because on the 10th of Feb they want to go in and demolish it. And they put notices around to that effect. And then you have to, or one of the questions it asks you is, what are there any connections to history? Well, yes. This is pretty big. He was buried in Addington, St Mary's Church, Addington, along with 4 other archbishops of Canterbury. So I took pictures of the tomb and all that kind of thing. That's still a lovely church, St Mary's, Addington Village. Well worth a visit if you've never been there. So, that was kind of added or self-added to my list of things to do. And I just dropped everything. Worked on the application. You have to do quite a bit of research around it because you're trying to build a case. But yeah, I've not heard anything. When I applied to get Selsdon Park Hotel listed a couple of years ago, they responded quite quickly with a rejection. Because it's not quite as historical as you might imagine. And there are very few features that were there then that are there now. And you kind of need to point at things and say that's why it needs to be listed and evidence them. But this one, I'm hopeful, but we'll have to see. Certainly there will be strong challenges anyway to that application. So that was just one of those things that I just got involved with. I decided to get involved with. And I think you kind of have to just drop everything in a situation like that, and try and do the right thing. And we will just have to see. So stay tuned. But it's just a really nice little road there. It's just along from the Addington Golf Club, which is quite a kind of select course in the area, and really the properties in that whole row, all the way down to almost the school. There's no little flats there. There are some flats as you meet Wickham Road. No, not Wickham Road. Shirley Road coming down. I meant Wickham Road when I said Shirley Road earlier. Anyway, so there's, we've just got to do these things sometimes. So, yes, good calls. Well done. Hope it's successful. Certainly do hope it is successful, Julie. I don't know. I mean, if... say the fact that it is under risk, when I did Selsdon it wasn't, and that maybe it was what it was or wasn't. And yes, the other note to myself is I must get holiday sorted. Sue's doing loads of work for some exams that she's doing, BSL exams, so I think once about April comes, perfect time. We need to get holiday sorted, possibly a cruise, possibly a trip over to Europe, who knows. Anyhow, I don't know how that's been. The viewer numbers have dropped off a little. I know we lost probably a couple of people earlier. So, is there anything else while you're here? Is there anything you want to ask? Anything you want to suggest, raise, talk about, care and share about? I'll hold on for a little bit longer just to see if there's anything to cover, and I'll update my notes actually. To add in something that I have actually just mentioned there. So, Swiss Lodge. Lovely style to the building. There we go. Lost somebody else. Yeah, I mean, I'll say I know there's a little delay here, so I'm going to let this run just for a little while longer, just to see if there's anything that you wanted to ask or raise or suggest. If not, we'll go back to our Monday evenings, and I will phone Virgin Media technical support to request an engineer visit to fix my Ethernet. I actually told them today when I was on the phone about this problem initially. I said, I've got a live broadcast tonight. It needs to be working. Not that they can wave a magic wand in that situation. Okay. Anything around Oxted and Causton Common? calls and comment. Yes. So I'm not sure when. This is my big problem. It's the when I might get round to do something is a challenge. And I need to get better at that. But Oxted is on my plans, Jeff, to get to Oxted. When I did Godstone, there was a kind of natural partner there in Bletchingley. Nutfield has also been mentioned to me. I know that's sort of heading towards Red Hill. There's almost an argument to do a whole A25 thing. Yeah. So that's it. Just, the plate spinning and juggling and all that kind of thing. So I've always liked Oxted, actually. Always been a big fan there. We always go to the cinema down there. And I know there's Old Oxted, which is probably worthy of a good lot of research and a little film of its own. And then you've got the other part of Oxted, the kind of bit either side of the railway line, with a lot of mock Tudor. But yes, Causden Common. Yeah, I think when we talked about Causden Common in the past on here, I think it was a case of how I could use that to do some sort of more country style walks. So that's something I'm planning to do there. Oh, the other thing I will do fairly soon, when I found myself at a blockage, when I did the Tillingdown walk and I got to the top of the hill and realised I couldn't go any further unless I went a long way round to Woldingham, and I came back via a reservoir, I knew that I wanted to do that other park because there's some nice bits of history there, and I've worked out a route that I'm going to do, a loop from Woldingham Station but out towards Manor Park. I'm hoping to film it as soon as I can, only because it's kind of all ready to go. It's oven ready, dare I say. And I found out a really interesting piece of history about Woldingham Garden Village that when I did the video and I walked through Woldingham Garden Village, for some reason I didn't know. It escaped me in the research. So I'm looking forward to telling that bit. Whaddon, Lowes Croydon Airport, and what was the Whaddon estate before that? Yeah, there is a lot. There's a lot. I mean, Croydon Airport is brilliantly covered in documentary terms and photos, but I'll need to do something there. Okay, thank you. So yes, I mean, I'll get round to all these things. It's difficult to say what wins in terms of the actual order, but generally it's when I pick up and put down my research as I go along, so I can do it on an iPad in front of the telly or whatever. Sometimes I'm sat at the computer doing it, but yes, it's when that's to a level of completeness. You can always do more, but you sometimes think, no, do it that much and stop and film it and edit it and release it, and then maybe there's a part two, like Tatsfield we did last year. Loads of comments and there's material ready for a part two. I just got to speak to Ian and the guys to get that going. Pearly Way swimming bars. Yeah, I walked past there when I did prep for the Croydon Water History talk. It's opposite the Whaddon pumping station that used to be Victorian, big chimney, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's a listing on the diving board, which you can see from the car park of the hotel next to it. There was attached to the building a planning application for one of the big kind of housing groups, so I'm not sure where that's gone. But they'd have to keep the diving board in their plans. So, yeah. Good. Guys, I'll end it there, and I will say thank you very much for your support as ever. Really do appreciate it. And that was episode 178, aka the January 2025 show with some possible technical issues. Pearly Way swimming pool, all the way up to the diving boat, and then all the way back down. Summers felt hotter then. I think they did. It was a very popular place. And then popular garden centre as well. But yeah, so good. Thank you very much. I will say in the chat, thank you all once again. And good night. Look after yourselves. And I'll see you in the next one. Where have you heard that before?